Hi Year 9, in this lesson we're going to be learning about equations with fractions, and what we're going to be doing is just looking at how to solve these, so to get the letter by itself. Just remember, in equations what we're trying to do is to get the letter by itself. Okay, let's have a look at this. Now equations don't always involve integers, okay, so what's an integer? It's this word here that we're looking at. An integer is a whole number, okay, either positive or negative or zero. So you need to write that down if you didn't know what that meant. It's a whole number that's either positive, negative, or zero. Okay, so that's the definition of an integer. We're going to be looking at how to get rid of, you'll notice in all these questions I have fractions in them. So we're going to be looking at how to get rid of the denominator, the thing on the bottom, because we can't get the letter or the unknown by itself without first getting rid of the denominator. Let's have a look at the first question. In the first question we have p over 3 take away 4 equals 2. Now, to get rid of the denominator, I need to do the opposite to what's happening to the p. The p is being divided by 3, so it means I need to times everything in my equation by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I'm left with p there, minus 4 times 3 is 12, and 2 times 3 is 6. Again, I ask the question, what's happening to the p? Well, it's being minus by 12, so I can plus 12 to both sides. Minus 12 plus 12 is 0, so that cancels, leaving me with just p on the left, which is what I want, and that is equal to 18. Okay. Remember, if you've got time at the end of a test, you should be checking if this works by putting it back into your original equation. So my original equation said this over here. So I should put in 18 here where the p is. So the question is 18 divided by 3, which is 6? Is 6 minus 4 equal to 2? Yes, it is, so I know that's correct. Okay. Make sure you write that down clearly in your working space on your worksheet. Alright, let's have a look at another example. Let's have a look at question B. Now, in question B, it says 3m plus 4 all divided by 2 equals to 5. Again, what I need to do is get rid of this on the bottom, the denominator. It happens to be a 2. So what is happening to the 3m plus 4? Well, it's being divided by 2, so I'm going to times everything on the top by 2 on both sides of the equation. 2 divided by 2 is just 1, so that leaves me with 3m plus 4 equaling 5 times 2, which is 10. From here, I need to try and get the 3m by itself first, so I'm going to do the opposite to what's happening to it on both sides, which is to minus 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, so I'm left with 3m, which is good because I'm getting closer to just m, and 10 take away 4 is 6. To get rid of the 3 here, what's happening to the m? Well, it's being times by 3, so I need to now divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so m is equal to 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Again, I can put it in here and check my answer. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. Is 10 divided by 2 5? Yes, it is. So that's correct. Okay. Again, make sure you write it down clearly on your worksheet. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, question C. Now this is a harder one because we've got two different numbers on the bottom and we can't add fractions unless the numbers are the same. So let me just, instead of doing question C, let's just do this question. Okay, I'm just going to write down something for you up here. Say I wanted to add a half plus a quarter. Now I can't add those because these are not the same denominator. Remember, with fractions you must have the same denominator to add or subtract. So that's important. You should probably write that down. So same denominator to add or subtract fractions. Okay, write that somewhere down. Write that down somewhere. Okay, so you must have same denominator to add or subtract fractions. And that is very, very, very important. So, write it down and highlight it. Or put it in a bubble, whatever will help you. Okay, a half plus a quarter. To get the denominators the same, you have to find what's called the lowest common denominator. Now, the lowest common denominator is the number that both 2 and 4 go into evenly, the lowest one you can think of, and that is 4, okay? Because 4 goes into itself, and 2 goes into 4 twice. So what happens now is I can write my answer with 4 as my common denominator. But I can't just write the same thing on the top because I've changed one of these. Okay, so in this one I say, what do I times 2 by? So 2 times what to get me to 4? The answer is 2. So you times the top by 2. And 4, that actually stays the same because 4 times 1 is 4. So 2 times 1 is 2. I've got plus 1 over 4. So my answer is 3 quarters. Okay? And that's how you add fractions with different denominators. It would be the same for minus, except you'd have a minus there. Okay? So if you're not sure on how to add fractions, make sure you write that example down because that will probably help you. Alright, let's have a look at this question then. Question C. It says n over 2, sorry, it doesn't say n over 2 at all. It says n over 3 plus n over 2 equals 5. Okay, now I need to think of the lowest common denominator of 3 and 2 that will help me get the same denominator. And that is 6. Okay, so I'm going to now have something all over 6 is equal to 30. Because really what I'm doing is I'm timesing 6 by this, 6 by this, and 6 by this. Okay? Now over here, I get 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So I'm left with 2n on the top. And over here, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I'm left with 3n on the top. Because I've got a common denominator, I can simplify this. 2n and 3n is 5n. And that's equal to 30. Okay. Now what I'm ready to do is I'm actually ready now to get n by itself. And at the moment 5n's being divided by 6. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to actually times by 6 on both sides. 6 divided by 6 is 1, leaving me with 5n. 30 times 6, or 3 times 6 is 18, just add the 0. And divide both sides by 5. Because it was being times by 5. So n is going to be 180 divided by 5. Okay, and 180 divided by 5 is 36. Again, check it in your question if you have time. Okay, so write that down. Any questions you have, bring it to class and I can go over them again in class, but you need to write them down. Okay, let's have a look at question D, because it's similar to question B really, but it's got pronumerals on the bottom which makes it hard. Okay. Question D. It says n over n minus 3 equals 6. Okay. Now what do we normally do when we have something on the bottom of a fraction? Well, what we normally do is we times out both sides by that thing. Okay, so pretend this was a 5 here, we times both things by 5. But it's not a 5, it says n minus 3. So all I'm going to do is times both sides by n minus 3. Okay, and I'm going to put that in brackets to help you know you need to expand. On this side, n divided by n minus 3 divided by n minus 3 is 1, so that just leaves me with n. But on this side, I have 6 times n minus 3. Okay, and I need to expand that out. And how I do that is I do 6 times the first term, 6 times the second term. So when I do that, I've got n on this side, which is what I want, and I've got 6n minus 18, because 6 times n is 6n, and 6 times minus 3 is minus 18. Getting closer to an answer that I want. I want n to be positive. So I'm going to take away n from both sides. So I've got 0 is 5n minus 18. And now I'm going to plus 18 to both sides. So 5n, minus 18 plus 18 is 0, and on this side I'm left with 18. Get n by itself, I divide both sides by 5, and n is equal to 18 over 5. And I can just leave my answer like that. Okay. So it's really important that you're writing that down, checking it through, and making sure that you get the correct answer. That was a pretty hard one, question D, but it is important that you know how to do those. Okay, so think carefully about what we've done. There are some that get a bit harder, and you won't get asked ones like question A, so I'm not going to do that with you. You could get asked something like question B, okay, which is a bit harder. So I might just quickly go through question B with you, and that will be it for today. And all you'll have left to do is to write down your summary and your higher order thinking question. Okay, let's have a look at this. Sorry, I'll just clear this first. So question B, so just ignore this one. Okay, let's have a look at question B. It says find the value of the pronumeral. So I need to find the lowest common denominator of 3, 4, and 2. Now I could, if I just had 3 and 2, it could be 6, but 4 doesn't go into 6 evenly. So I think it's going to be 12 here, okay, the lowest number that all these go into evenly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start with the left-hand side, and I'm going to put that over 12. And in fact, I'm going to times everything here by 12. Okay, so it's 12 times all of that, 12 times all of that, and that times 12. 12 divided by 3, however, is 4. So on this side, I've got 4 brackets x plus 1. And there's a little minus sign in here, so I put a minus sign here. 12 divided by 4 is 3, so I've got 3 brackets, 2x minus 1. That's from the question. And then that is equal to a half times 12, which is 6. Okay. I now need to expand and simplify all this out. So let's have a look. On the top, I've got 4x plus 4 minus 6x plus 1, because, let me just step you through that quickly. So I did 4 times x, 4 times 1, minus 3 times 2x, minus 3 times 1 is 1 becomes, that's where the plus comes from, and that is equal to 6. Okay. I now can simplify. So I've got 4x minus 6x, well that's minus 2x. 4 plus 1 is 5, and that is equal to 6. I'm going to now minus 5 from both sides. So I've got minus 2x left, because that becomes 0. 6 minus 5 is equal to 1. I need to get the x by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by minus 2. They will cancel to give 1, and I've got x equals negative a half. Okay. It is a lot more complicated than the previous ones we've done. However, just step through the same working and you'll get the correct answer. Okay, so make sure you write that down clearly on your page, and I'm happy to go through it again in class, and we'll practice more in class so you've got time to understand it. Okay, so make sure you print off your worksheet. Don't forget to write a summary of what you learned, any questions you had, and higher order thinking, okay? And I'll see you in class. Don't forget to print it off, put it in your book or folder. See you later, guys.